Yo,
What's going on with it?
I just got off work, man, and yeah, tired, but I gotta do this. Gotta do this with you guys. Gotta catch up with you.
For sure, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, how you guys been?
Been good, man. Just kind of discovering new music, kicking it around, working from home, all that fun stuff.
In the lab.
hmm
Yeah. What
You're
about
trying
you?
to buy a house, haven't you?
Trying to buy a house, yeah, gotta get that ready so I can build that music studio, get that extra guest bedroom, get all that cool stuff, but it's a
Right.
process, man.
Yes, sir. Guys, I got Timothy B and DJ Jazzy G in the building. This is this is one of the episodes for the Portland edition, and I wanted to get you guys on, man. I miss you guys, bro. Like, it's
You
been
too,
a
man.
while. It's been a while. I
It's
met
way
these
too long.
guys. Yeah, I met these guys last year at Wieden and Kennedy. I did I DJ'd for Nitty Scott. She sent me some songs, and at the place where these two were working, Wieden and Kennedy, I met these two gems right here. These two dope DJs, and kept in touch with them a little bit here and there, and yeah, they're a dope crowd. Timmy, how you been, man? I haven't seen you in a while.
I've been all right, man. Yeah. Unfortunately, got laid off from Wieden about
Shit.
a month ago now, but it's been okay. It's been nice to enjoy the summer. Take some time to get outside while I still can. Um, Also just take a second to like kind of reset on all my routines, like get back in touch with like where the inspiration comes from, be able to touch into all that. So it's been nice. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's what quarantine, tried to push us to do as DJs, like there's not a lot of gigs out there right now,
No.
kind of forces us to stay stuck in the room and, practice.
Yeah,
But
but I feel like that gives us a chance to grow in a way where like now I've been playing music that I don't normally play and just kind of expand kind of my knowledge, and now I'm kind of finding some new favorite genres and like discovering from what music really is as good music versus being kind of biased towards a specific genre like hip hop or R&B or top 40. So
mhm.
have some time for growth.
Oh yeah, definitely. And like, man, people don't know this, but like, I get most of my like neo soul genre from this guy right here, DJ Jazzy G, man. Like his whole crate, my whole crate is basically his his findings from SoundCloud, YouTube, and wherever he gets his music, man. His special den that he gets to share with us, man.
Yeah, man, it's just hours and hours of just digging. Because like when quarantine first started, that's what I just did. Was like my first project was just reorganize my entire music library, which was about 9,000 songs. So just kind of going through every single one. Do I want this? What genre this is? What crate this is going into? And then going into SoundCloud and YouTube and just digging deeper in like artists that are similar and stuff like that. And damn, I find
Yeah, you do
gems.
your homework, that's for sure.
Sure, yeah.
He does, man. He does. Every time, like it's like a week later or 2 weeks later, he's like, dude, I got 400 songs for you. I'm like, what? This guy, man, keeps coming with gems, man. It's crazy. But yeah, back to Wieden and Kennedy. Like, how did you guys meet?
It's actually there at Wyden.
Mhm.
Yeah. I started just a little bit before Daniel did, and then he came in the office, and it's kind of felt like high school in some ways, like the dynamics there, and so it was like word of mouth got out that the two of us, would DJ, and so immediate, like probably within the first week or two that you were there, we probably just like linked up, and probably I don't even remember how long did we hang out before we started DJing together.
Dude, I feel like we were kicking it a lot more because of like affinity groups that we were a part of and all these different things. And we didn't really find out that we were DJs until I think after the first like time we got together as just this entire agency, and I DJ
Oh
for the
yeah.
agency, and then you came up to like, oh crap, like I didn't know we could do this. Yeah, by the time we
Yeah.
know it, we were doing that every Friday there. So it was pretty cool how things were just going like that. So right
Yeah,
here.
it was really great to see that, like to see us both, be hired for different reasons to work for this really great company, but then have like a creative interest that they still were interested in us being able to engage with the rest of the agency. Uh, so I think that was like really special because up until that point, not a lot of other people had done that in that building. And I think that Daniel and I both have different ways of approaching DJing and playing music and just entertaining. And so I felt like we both had moments to shine within that building that still allowed us to like pull some influence,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was hard.
Yeah, like so when I met you guys, it was like earlier of like last year, I think. Or maybe it was in the mid of last year. But like how long were you guys working there when like I guess when I started seeing you guys?
It's probably just like a few months. I started like in March.
Yeah,
So
maybe 6 months.
Yeah.
About 6 months?
Yeah.
And that's so crazy, dude. How life works, man. Like,
Yeah,
you
man.
know, like these dope DJs come through and like, you get to meet each other. That's why I liked Wieden and Kennedy. They brought together events for DJs like us and got to meet new people, meet new artists. There is a very good group of collective people that are really artistic and creative.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was interesting. It's like we definitely we spoke up a lot. We spoke up and we're like, this is what we want to try and do. This is what we feel like people in this building should consume on a regular basis.
Mm-hmm.
And I think because we came up with good ways to approach that, it made it easy for them to say yes.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, it's interesting because that company had a lot of resources at the time. And it's to me, it was kind of like the perfect storm because I had always wanted to accomplish some of these parties or like have different people come through and or have a chance to play with them or present them with something, but I never had the resources or the space or the equipment or like the time or the money, any of that all together. So for all of that to combine at the right time at the right place, even for the Daniel and I to, yeah, like you said, be able to get hired around the same time and work there in that moment is definitely super special. Yeah.
Definitely.
Which is kind of what allowed us to do like even the freestyle that we put on. It's like you were a part of, and you got Catch 24, and then APJ from Olympia to come out too, and just kind of do a battle of the Northwest kind of freestyle Red Bull in a way. And it just happened to be on the same weekend that J. Espinosa happened to be in town and stuff like that. Which was just like, oh, he's a champion of that, world champion of the freestyle. So stuff like that and timing just worked out so great during that span of like 6 or 7 months. So.
Right. That was all because of you guys, man. Like the whole battle, the DJ stuff. That would have never happened, man. And you guys made like a little group thing for everybody to have a good time, listen to music, collect and regroup, away from work. And what I loved was how you guys created that the every Friday thing where you would play for a couple hours in the lobby for your coworkers and they would just chill, work, and while listening to you guys mix. And like that's such a chill, cool moment to have, just go back and forth with each other.
Yeah, and we're looking to get some guests that come through too, and then the people at work get to hear new DJs and get to expose from Portland to what it really is. Because when a lot of tourists and stuff come into Portland, they just think about like, oh, they go onto the Chinatown circuit and they hear top 40 and they think, oh, this is just the Portland style of DJing, when it's totally wrong. There's so many different genres, there's so much different clubs that host these different genres, and we wanted to kind of put a spotlight on that. And Tim being a local Portlandite, he knew a lot more DJs and got a lot more context coming in from like the local scene, from like Marcel, who is DJ Passport, to Carlos, the road skater. He's also a local DJ and stuff like that. So, like that, Tim.
Right. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Is your mic a little low on that end?
Yeah, you gotta speak up, Daniel. We can't hear you, bro.
Sorry, man. I can turn it up. Let me turn it up a little bit.
Or maybe just speak.
Get a little closer, yeah.
Yeah.
I have this thing on the stand right now. So let me
Actually,
audio settings. Oh yeah, my mic level is real low. Let me turn that up.
okay. My bad. I was just checking.
No, you should definitely check in, bro.
Yeah, man. Gotta make sure this is
Check
a good
mic, check
quality.
1 2.
Yeah.
Y'all can hear me cool, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Perfectly, man.
I know I'm loud, shit.
How's that now? Is that better?
A little better.
A little better, yeah. That's good.
Let me turn it up for some. Oh, here we go.
Yeah.
Check 1 2. Hey.
Oh,
Hey.
Golden.
He's in the building.
Yeah.
Honestly, you should repeat what you just said about like some of those people we had able to come through. Daniel.
Oh yeah. So that back to what I was saying about that. You know, the WK Fridays kind of had us a chance to spotlight DJs that don't normally get spotlights. A lot of people who visit Portland. So like when people come to Portland, they usually hit the Chinatown circuit and they are exposed to more of a top 40 market. But Portland has so much more to offer than just top 40. I mean, we have disco, we have vinyl nights that go into alternative, to house, to uh, indie pop, to you name it. It's just all these different genres are kind of as a collective to be almost like an open format. So what we wanted to do was spotlight a lot of these DJs, and luckily Tim is a local Portland night, and so he got yeah, I mean, he had a chance for us to like bring through a lot of talent that a lot of people don't normally get exposed to. So like if it's DJ Marcel, who's DJ Passports, I mean, and then if it's Carlos the roller skater, to a lot more other people we had on our list that we couldn't really get to because there was just a lot of Fridays and we just didn't have a chance to get to it, with quarantine hitting and everything. So I mean, you came through for a couple guest spots, which was pretty cool, and then pretty soon, like you became a name around there. Everybody comes over and gives you hugs now when you go visit. So it's pretty sick.
Super fun, man. Yeah, I remember that one night. They came out to Swift Lounge with us. I remember they came out to Dig and Pony, with all of you guys. You know, that was a fun night. Oh my gosh, that place got packed. That was really fun.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, it was lit. You know, I was just having this conversation with some other friends who are into music, and considering kind of like post COVID, or music that's come out during this time. Is there any songs that like you think you could play right now that would just absolutely get the crowd super lit?
You're talking
that
like
has come out recently, that have come out like within the last 3 months or so.
Yeah. Are you talking about like top 40, or are you talking about like just?
I'm just talking about that banger, bro.
Banger. I mean, come on. You got like City Girls. You got, of course, WAP. You have all those ones that have all the girls go crazy. But I was conveniently surprised by like Disclosure's new album. Like,
oh yeah,
a lot of cool like cuts. I mean, Channel Threads with that one with Robin was amazing. Mm-hmm. Even Steve Lacy dropping one, Love Generator. I mean, those ones are just kind of like feel like Portland to me, then kind of like the top 40 hit. So, like I was saying, Portland has a lot more to offer than just top 40, which is pretty cool.
That's true.
Yeah, I haven't gotten into Disclosure's album yet, but I'll get into that for sure.
Oh, dude.
I want to as well.
Yeah.
It's like a Kehlani and Sid song.
Oh, really?
They collaborated on, which is pretty cool. Sid from the internet, so it's pretty cool.
Dope.
Nice.
Yeah. I was gonna get into the differences between the tourist area of Portland and the local area, but I'm gonna hold on just one moment because I want to know like how you guys got started into DJing to where you are right now. So I guess Daniel, you started in Washington, right?
Yeah, I started in Seattle probably about, I want to say about, I think about 4 years ago. Yeah, my first gig was just a 90s party for my brother, and then tried to get out there more, had to like road trip out to a bar and grill out in Olympia. So Seattle to Olympia back and forth every week, Friday and Saturday night for a while. Got into weddings for a while to make some money. And then, I just couldn't really break into the Seattle club scene. It was just a little bit more niche. And then you had to know people to get in, and those people didn't really like to let people in their circles. So it's just a lot of, dang, is this really even worth it? So kind of stuck to like getting gigs here and there and doing, like, my favorite parts of Seattle was probably the fashion shows I did up there, where those are really where a lot more people were open, and it felt a little bit more like how Portland feels. So yeah, as soon as I came down to Portland, have trouble breaking into the scene until I got into Wieden, and then literally got a couple gigs, and then Tim's like hooked me up with another DJ that kind of books out for Swift, and then I impressed the DJ out on Swift and started getting a residency out there and gigs where I can, and that's where I'm at today. It's just I secured my second residency before COVID hit at Suavecito. It's a new bar, and yeah, as soon as COVID hit, that was all out the window.
Yes, sir. Yeah. Shout out to Tim. Shout out to G Whiskey.
Yeah.
Hey, most definitely.
Yeah. What about you, Tim?
Yeah. So I'm like third generation DJ. So my grandmother was a radio DJ here in town for this radio station that does all jazz. It's KMHD 89.1, super tight. So she was doing that in like the 70s. And my dad, he DJ'd through like the late 80s, early 90s, doing a lot more like, breakdancing, pop lock, electro, funk, stuff like that. And, when I was growing up, I had been pretty kind of resistant to DJing. I loved music, but I didn't really take it as serious as like my dad had at the time. But then as I grew older, and got into more creative interests, to me, it took this moment of focusing on like what my strengths were. And a strength, what I always felt like was music, always understanding what type of music would influence people to feel a certain way. And so a friend of mine, Tony Gonzalez, in 2016, had a residency at the liquor store on Belmont. And he used to be a chef there. And so he would make pizzas every Monday. They had a $2 pizza special. And he would run to the back and make pizzas. And then in between his orders, he would come out and swap the records on the turntables that they had there. And he would play all like just classic hip hop, mostly West Coast stuff. And so I came in some random Monday and saw him, and we vibed with each other. We're good friends. And he was like, yo, man, all you got to do is bring your records. We got the turntables. So I went over to my dad's house and took a bunch of his records and took them to the liquor store and invited a bunch of my homies out. And at the time, we decided to call the night Straight Outta Dough, like Straight Outta Compton.
Mm-hmm. So
we had Straight Outta Dough, and it started just as one gig, and then he invited me back the next Monday, and next thing you know, I was there doing the gig with him for a year. Then he left, and so I got my own residency on Monday. I changed the name to Perfect World, and then I did that for like a year and a half. So altogether, I had oh shit, is that working? I had that residency for like 2.5 years. So come like 2018 or so, I kind of broke away because I had started to pick up and book other gigs at different bars in town. At that time, I had been strictly vinyl. So I did that for about the first 2.5 years. I had about 250 records I would play off of, anywhere from funk, hip hop, old school R&B cuts. And then I started getting interested in doing more digital DJing. So I bought a controller and started teaching myself how to DJ more like newer top 40, some house, a little bit of electronic. And then that allowed me to play for different crowds and to different venues in town. I picked up a few different residencies around town. I played at probably 4 or 5 different bars downtown as a resident at different points in time over the last 5 years. But my favorites have been like some standouts recently. I had a chance to play at Lovecraft Bar, which is like a Gothic bar. Mm. And to me, I love those challenges, of playing for crowds that usually aren't used to seeing or consuming a DJ like me. So it was definitely like a goal I had set to be able to play at that venue at one point. Um, there's a venue called the Spare Room out in Northeast Portland. It's on like 77. It's been around for like the 70s, since like the 70s as well. And there was two parties they used to do called the Get Down and the Hustle. The Hustle was all disco. The Get Down was all newer, like hip hop dance music. And I played both of those parties a lot, and the venue space holds like 450 people. And they just come to really like just dance and really get into it. So it was really great to be able to play a lot of varieties of shows and different types of crowds and different, of course, amounts of interest personally. But I think at where I'm at right now, over the evolution of going through all of that, it's been able to allow me to focus on the things that I appreciate and love the most as like a creative output, and not just as like a paycheck. And so it's been nice to have those options to not just have to use DJing as a means of income, but as like as a creative interest. And I hope to be able to like maintain that. Daniel and I have talked about this a lot, maintaining this energy of people come to hear me. You know, I don't go out to play for people as much. Of course, you got to have that balance, but I think because of being well-rounded and having a lot of opportunity, I got nothing left to prove to anybody. I feel like I've scratched all the itches I need to. You know, I grew up skateboarding, and it kind of feels like, you know, skateboarding where you get to certain points where like you can only go so far without really like hurting yourself or really going into something deep. So I feel like I'm right at that place, and it's really exciting. Yeah.
That's dope, man. Yeah, man. Like, yeah, you're so diverse with your gigs, your music too. Like
Thank you.
I saw that, you know, at when we would all play together, like we would you know, transition, and it's dope because we all fed off of each other like style, but we blended it in a way we went to our own style, you know, and we have you could tell who's on the tables because we have our own music, our own creative backgrounds. So it was pretty dope experience to do that.
Sure, man. Yeah.
I definitely would agree.
Yeah, definitely. Like, I don't know, like, Daniel for sure introduced me to like neo soul, kind of like chill remix edits, stuff like that. And then Tim would play. I don't even know what you would call it, man. Like, it'd be like a jungle house kind of thing.
That's
so different, man. But it's a dope kind of selection that you have, and that you are what do you call it? Open format. You're able to do all these, you know, gothic bars, hip hop, you know, just all different types of genres, and that's what's pretty dope.
I feel like that's what kind of encourages us. We like to put ourselves in these situations where we kind of have to adjust to the situation. Like recently, I did a house gig, and I did it with another DJ, and I had to understand what his style was. And I don't usually spin house. It got me into spinning house, and so I had to understand what songs would kind of go where, and then feed off of that on the house vibe. So what I did was I found a lot of remixes and a lot of house songs and kind of blended it in with his style. And just kind of, it's that same type of energy where you said you pick up the torch, but then you kind of add your own touch to it. But you make it easy for them to pick up the torch, and then they can add their touch to it as well. So
I think that's what makes a DJ great, you know, is to be able to read the DJ and also the crowd, and, you know, feed off each other that way of, you know, okay, this is a guy that I can, you know, share the stage with and enjoy it, you know. I've had experiences with DJs that, you know, didn't really have the same vibe as me. So the room would be off a little bit, and you would be like, damn, I have to get this crowd back. like I can't wait till your 30 minutes are up. Like, you got to get off the stage. So yeah, no, it was really a pleasure working with you guys. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. I mean, our time even at 2, man, we would just keep the place going constant. It was like
Oh,
never
yeah,
one dull
man.
moment at 2. That's what's so cool, and we did it at least. So
Yeah, man. So it makes it enjoyable. So it
yeah,
makes it, it's what makes it, it's what's different from a job and a, you know, something that you love. It's like a hobby and a career in both. I don't know. It's just,
yeah,
it's,
you're on the right track.
yeah, definitely. But yeah, so let me get into the different sides of Portland because so how I got into it was geez, I don't know. I grew up a lot on hip hop, you know, and uh there the owner of a couple bars hit me up from the tourist side of Portland, which is Chinatown. And he had me play there, and I read the vibe a little bit. It was a lot of just hip hop straight, you know. It was hard for the crowds to get into anything other than that. And you know, just recently, like earlier this year, you guys introduced me to the local side of Portland, where I've never been to, I've never heard of, um,
Dumb.
and I've gotten into that kind of vibe. So, like, what is the difference between the two vibes?
I feel like it's just whatever you're feeling, there's a bar for what you're feeling. Tim took me to a lot of these bars too, personally, because of course I've only been here for a few years, and Tim's been here his whole life, so he understands what bars kind of does what type of music. Whether it's Hey Love that does usually vinyl disco, or maybe even Sandy Hut who has their like monthly vinyl nights where it's open format DJs who just bring their vinyls through and they just spin.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm pretty sure Tim could go in a little bit more further what other bars do, what other types of music.
Yeah, I think it's all like it all depends on like social reputation. I think a lot of time downtown, I think a lot of the venues maintain a social reputation of playing a specific sound, so people go there to hear that. And I think that carries over. I mean, the way I really break it down is West Side versus East Side, and I mean like the West Side of the Willamette and the East Side of the Willamette, downtown versus East Side. And I think that on the East Side there are people who are into different music and interests socially, and so they don't align with the same things that are sometimes played at some of those venues downtown. I think, though, again, it goes into this. I can't help but feel like there's a control thing that I don't personally mesh with downtown as much for the payoff. I feel like there is a lot of venues that expect you to do a lot of work as a DJ of playing to the crowd, maintaining them, getting money, making sure people are having a good time, but also not valuing what you do as your hard work as a DJ very well, monetarily, honestly. Because if you're not talking about money when it comes to this stuff, then like, what is it? Because we're not just coming out to play
Yeah.
because we want to play, you know? It's like we're doing this, it's a balance. And I think a lot of times on the East Side, at least what I've found is a lot of the owners of different venues are open to communicating with each other or with the DJs to find, you know, what kind of music that the crowd wants, but also what else like adds value to them as a person. And I think that's what ends up being felt throughout the entire energy of the venue, of the place. Um, so yeah, I definitely feel like it's like all these different roads kind of intersecting with each other. But ultimately, downtown is going to be more top 40 bridge and tunnel, which means people from the suburbs, folks that don't usually go out that much. East side is going to be a lot more heads who are really into music and enjoy that and are looking for sometimes the niche sounds. And if you can provide that, they'll pay a lot of money for it. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that is something I totally agree with. Is that, you know, most club and bar owners need to pay the DJs more. And we know our worth, man. You know, and
Yeah.
it's hard to find. You know.
I think it's difficult because in this industry, oftentimes people will get undercut where it's like, I know this guy who can do it for cheaper.
Hmm.
But again, it's the standards of the owners or whoever is making the decision to hire the DJ. It's their standards that needs to um, that need to adjust. Because if you choose to undercut somebody who's actually really good and not pay them, then the reflection of the expectations of the people who come to the venue are going to change completely. You know, like it's just a trickle down effect. Everybody, it all plays off each other. I hope kind of, I mean, I don't want to get off into something different, but like looking towards the future, I do think that there needs to be more of a relationship of the bar owner with the DJ. And Daniel and I have spoke about that plenty with each other. And I think it's important for a lot of people in the industry and community to really get a grasp on and understand, because of how much value we hold, really. Yeah.
I also think there is a common misconception because, like, from what the bar owner standpoint, you see them as like, oh, DJs are done judging because everybody who has a turntable or a controller or whatever calls himself a DJ, but are they really a DJ? And that's really what it has to come to. Because, I mean, usually if we come back to rebuttal, their response is like, oh, I could just get another DJ that calls himself a DJ. And then they don't really call back till like a few weeks later, like, oh, this DJ ain't really cutting it though.
Right.
Because we don't really understand the value of what a specific DJ could bring to a venue and everything else. If like you're trying to combine to their vision, you can, but you can add your own twist to it. And when you add your own twist to it, you bring those people in, and it's like, this is why we're coming back because of that twist you're adding. I cannot just go throw like turn on my radio and hear the same mix that you're doing. No, I'm going to hear different, little different nuances and everything. And lately getting into wordplay and stuff like that, people hear that and they're just like, wow, that's some deep shit. So they go into that.
Yeah, I definitely feel there needs to be more of that, the connection, bar owners knowing that, you need a good DJ in there, to get people in. And it's crazy that I realize it now that Portland does have those niches of like, over here's a certain sound, over here's a certain sound. You get to pick and choose, and you get what you pay for. So
I feel like though, like a lot of people can't. I mean, the people locals can pick and choose, but the people who are visiting, they don't really get a chance to pick and choose. And like, if you were have people visiting, and you try to tell those people visiting, like, hey, you should actually come over here because it makes it's a better night. But they're like, no, but Yelp and all these different things are telling me to go over here, and because it's a security thing. I'm just like, well,
I kind of agree with what you're saying, Daniel. But I think at the same time, I'm like, am I really looking to like play music for people who are looking for DJs on Yelp?
Exactly, right? But like that's
what I'm saying.
Yeah, but I mean, like, but they don't. That's not true for people don't know where to find these avenues. That's what I'm kind of going at. It's just like if you have somebody coming from out of town that really appreciates music and loves music, but they can't really find out where the local scenes are at, where that would have music that they would prefer to listen to. They're stuck with going to Two Fortune or Shake or the downtown China circuit.
Right. Yeah.
Well, and that goes into like marketing. That goes into that, kind of working again with like the owners are booking to market who is going to be like highlight who is going to be playing where, if it's something special or niche or like a sound that they really want to build a crowd to come to. That's where I feel like there's opportunity as well. Yeah.
And I feel like Lulu is a good representation of that because they are the only bar that I've been to that have a specific sound, that want these DJs to play this kind of music, stay away from this, and I think that's cool to have, as the owner, you see that there's a lack of this type of vibe in Portland, so I want this bar to be this vibe, so that's what we're known for, So I found it very interesting and very cool to see that, that there's a different side of Portland that I've never seen, that a lot of people haven't seen, and it's getting out there. Hopefully after quarantine, man, everything opens back up, man, because I miss playing, man.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
No, I know this was gonna be the summer of some parties outside, like.
Yeah.
I know I definitely was gonna get some cracking ass patio parties, but it is what it is. Yeah. I mean, it's, to me, I'm like, the payoff for like people to be safe is worth it, as much as like I really would love to play for people.
Mm-hmm.
But like, I don't want to have to worry about it personally. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to have to worry about people's safety while we're just trying to do what we do. Yeah.
And it goes back to like us making our mixes, but then after even a certain amount of time, because like you can't really feed off that energy, it just kind of your motivation slowly goes away, which is why you have to find that motivation to give the people, because you could tell it makes an impact when they actually reach out when the music mixes kind of stop. They're like, oh, what happened to your mixes and stuff like that. But it's just like, oh, you don't really feel that energy while you're doing that. So it's just the missing of really the energy of the people. But like what Tim was saying, we don't really want to risk people's lives just to feel that energy real quick when we could just wait down the road for a few months or maybe a year. Who knows when this stuff ends? But
I've seen like a couple pool parties and stuff happening,
oh yeah.
There's people at restaurants that have, tables 6 feet away, DJs at a far point. I think we're trying to find a way around this, but we'll see, man. Like there's still a couple weddings happening out there, and there's a lot of couples and people that don't have masks and stuff, and do at the end of the day, it's up to them. I mean, we can't force them as DJs. Our job is to DJ, but yeah, it's kind of scary, man.
That's for sure.
Yeah. But yeah, like how are you guys doing in this quarantine time? Like do you guys still have like gigs at all? Like what's going on?
Tim's done a few.
Yeah.
I've done a couple. I've done some what is it called? Like some live mixes that I've put out through some different like web hosting, like online party things. I did one for Holocene not too long ago, actually a couple for Holocene, where they had like the DJs set up. It was just two of us DJing, and then they had a bunch of different cameras with different angles and two just like technician guys there. But again, it's like, I don't know. For the love of the craft, it's great.
Right.
Because it's like I get to play some music for folks, but it's still definitely not in any sort of way the same. Like
it's like outside
yeah, it doesn't feel the same. You don't like. Of course, you're not going to get paid very much money, which is like okay, but is it worth the work? I don't know. It's been interesting, interesting times on that tip. It's been hard, if I'm being quite honest.
Right.
Like it hasn't been easy. Yeah. It's hard to be motivated too, to feel like you can get a taste of that same energy and response like you would when you were out and about.
Yeah.
I mean, you drop that one song and then you don't actually hear, oh, you actually have to read, oh, which is like, I have to spend my time queuing with this next song, but I got to read and kind of like respond back to what people are saying. But like, I haven't done too many Twitch shows or anything like that. I have done mixes though. Got more into just getting like an evolution of my craft, discovering all this new music and everything. I wanted to kind of just evolve into a different type of a way where I wanted to drift a little bit outside of the top 40 and kind of do whatever. So like whatever I'm feeling as an open format DJ, bringing in not just top 40, but bringing in like electronic house, Afro beats to neo soul, indie pop, alternative, you name it. It's even throwbacks from like disco and R&B throwbacks, and just throwbacks meaning from like the 70s, 80s, and 90s and stuff like that. And just creating this whole new mix style, which is like a different type of a sound, and trying to keep evolving on that with like a little bit of wordplay keys. So like a song that ends with a specific key, I want to like a specific like word. I want to have the next song pick up on that word and just like tell the story. But I mean, I want to spread music that doesn't normally get spun, and you have that be kind of a spotlight where people could actually hear good music in a different type of aspect, where it's not just like what you hear on your radio or what people are hyping up on Spotify or anything. These are deep cuts that like deserve to be heard, but nobody's hearing it. So I want to show it.
Right. Yeah, it's crazy. Like when a DJ takes the floor, man, we're really artists in a way. like we paint the picture of how the night is gonna be, you know. We're pretty much people that paint that picture, people that um, you know, we have different jobs. Like we're pretty much psychological people.
Oh
like
yeah.
we have to read the crowd in a way that keeps the vibe going, and it's a hard job, man. It's a hard job, but it's also
Yeah.
very enjoyable.
Yeah, you're a master manipulator of behavior. I mean,
Yeah, there you go.
through sound. I mean, and it's a responsibility in a lot of ways, you know, and it takes recognition of that responsibility to be really good. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, and the way I say it, like as much as we practice, as much time as we put into it, again, that's like that shit nobody can take away from anyone. You know, that is just what we are. You put whatever audience in front of us, and like we're always gonna fuck it up one way or another.
Yeah.
And I think it's that trust, it's that self trust because of the work, because you put in the time, that is like, again, it's undeniable, and it carries you through. I think that's what I feel like is always going to carry me through all this shit.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Yeah.
I'm like, no matter what, even as soon as once we get back to doing things at some normalcy, I know I can trust myself to get back to it and still like provide this craft to people. Because again, that doesn't go away. It's like riding a bike. Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. How did you get into the music that you started playing? Because like um of course you grew up on hip hop. I think I heard you say that. But like
Yeah.
you said you go into like gothic clubs, you go into
Yeah.
all these different types of music area. Like how did you get into that?
I mean, for me, it's like I seek to spend time with people on a personal basis, with a lot of folks who listen to music and have just different interests in their lives than what I have personally all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I guess the best way I'd say it is that like I actively try to seek to spend time with people who can show me new music, and I try to seek out to go to different venues and parties where it's stuff that is brand new to me, but I know has an established following to it. And I also think that music in general has moments of crossover, and so trying to pick pieces apart from where I see that music crossover in different genres. So I mean, if you start back as far as like understanding like metal and rock's influence on Run DMC, you can see how there's sounds that were built from a production standpoint that allowed it to sound a certain way. And if you follow, even say, for example, sticking with Run DMC, the trajectory of Rick Rubin over time, and to see the different sounds that he's able to create, you know that there is ways that you can cross over. And so for me, it all starts with hearing one song that feels like it reminds me of something or reminds me of a certain sound, and then I go down the rabbit hole.
Mm-hmm.
It's all about like you find one artist, then you look up their record label, and
Mm-hmm.
you see what other artists they represent. You get all of their music, and then you find DJs. I find DJs that have already played this music, see how they've done it.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of the process, and then you just take one genre and go down the same way. I think too, I personally try to challenge myself on just sticking to certain genres for a moment in time. So, for example, when I was doing all vinyl, I would stick to mostly disco and mostly funk and music that like when when the era of vinyl was at its peak, this was the kind of music that was being made. So it kind of makes sense for it to be played together.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas more like electronic music, I play digitally, and I have, a range of when that all started from like say the early '90s through to like the mid 2000s of different types of electronic music that I can venture into to try and build together with sounds that I'm hearing now, together with sounds from before. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. Like I'm currently getting into like Jersey Club and like
Oh hell yeah.
yeah, Be More music. It's different, man. We're like on the West Coast, we don't hear it that much.
But
And
what a good example of a crossover of genres, you
yeah,
know?
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
A good example because you could play like because okay, so Jersey Shore is pretty much in like the 130s ranges. You know what I
Sure.
mean? So what's cool is like you can involve uh like trap hip hop, which is in like the 60s and 70s, and you could
Hmm.
go back and forth with that, pop, like anything, any genre, pretty much.
Yeah.
It's a remix,
Yeah.
of hip
No,
hop.
sure.
So yeah, man, it's cool to get to dive into other genres. It's cool to step out of your comfort zone and go into these genres that not everybody knows, and then when you play it and you get that reaction, that's what
Yeah.
we live for, man.
I
So
mean, it's also giving, in my opinion, too, something I'll say is giving the listener more credit. And to me, it's acknowledging the fact that in this world that we live in, where music streaming is so large, people have more access to music than they ever have before. And so I'm not ever surprised that the same guy that listens to Jersey club music would also fuck with like some trap music, and he would fuck with some house that's around the same like
mhm,
vein. It's safe to assume those things culturally and socially, and that to me is just kind of picking up on cues, and like, and in my opinion, like not being afraid that people won't know it, not giving them that credit,
mhm.
giving them that trust. And I feel like it builds trust both ways, because if you play a cut, somebody knows that like it's rare to see it played alongside other types of music, then
Yeah.
they fuck with you even harder. It's like it's
Mhm.
a deeper respect that gets built. Yeah.
Oh yeah, man. And like that's why I like, going to Jazzy G's place and like him showing me all this other music, man. It's like he would show me something, I would go home, I would play the original and go into the remix, and then
Yeah.
I could just imagine people just being like, "Oh shit, I know that song." And
Yeah.
like when did he switch it up? You know what I mean? So
Yep.
Jazzy G, yeah, thank you, man. I
Well,
appreciate it.
music is more just kind of like, in my opinion, it's fluid. If you kind of just have if you have experience and you have those favorite songs, that's what Tim was saying. It's like you can notice the similarities with other genres just by just the base things. Like if you understand the cadence of the drums, that cadence of the drums could have the same cadence from something that has an
Hmm.
alternative beat or a house beat, and you didn't even know that it has the same thing as your hip hop beat or your top 40 beat. But it's just listening and understanding that for us as DJs. And once
Hmm.
that clicks in our head, like, holy crap, this actually blends, then when we share it out to the public, they're just going to be like, oh my gosh, I never even thought about that combination. Or did you even switch it up? And having those reactions are way more like than just like the comments just dropped because you dropped their favorite songs. It's more just like, what the heck did you do? Like people have to look behind you, like, dang, this is dope. Like
Yeah.
those are
And I feel like you can express that more on the local side of Portland, you know, uh, where it's not top 40, you have more leeway of expressing yourself. And that's what I love about, Swift, what I love about Digapony, Lulu. So yeah, Portland, I'm starting to like really enjoy that part. But
And now, what's up? When you gonna open up your own club, man?
oh, me?
Yeah, what's going on? When you gonna do it?
Oh gosh, shit, dude. I don't know, man. I never thought of it, but shoot, maybe.
I can see you as the owner,
yeah,
most
man.
definitely.
Oh, for real?
Oh yeah, I can
Okay,
see
okay.
that.
Cool, that'd be dope, man.
Bring the people together.
Yeah, man.
Exactly, man. Have you guys DJ? Have everybody come out. I've always wanted to do a pool party, so like maybe just have like a pool area.
Hey,
Barbecue. Everything like I don't know, dude. I don't know. I'm 22, man. I'm still thinking about this shit.
oh, that don't mean nothing. Yeah, you on your grind. That's good though.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so like if you guys were club owners and stuff, what would you do differently than today?
um, One of my favorite clubs I've ever went to, or bars or whatever venue, was in LA. It was called the Airliner, and they used to do this party called the Low End Theory, and it was um, multiple. It was probably 4 or 5 different stages, between like 2 or 3 different floors in this building and outside. And at each stage, there would be crowds of maybe 50 to 40 people at a time. And they would be playing different types of music at each one. So sometimes people would be doing like a live production set. Other people would be playing, you know, hip hop. And I always have loved the idea of having a venue that has multiple rooms and stages to it, so that people can bop between them and still stay within the same venue, and have and experience different music if that's like what they're into. I think that format of people being able to go between rooms can work really successfully when it's done correctly. Yeah.
That would be dope. That would be dope.
That's missing in Portland. There's a room like that. There's a club like that in Seattle where like each floor is a different style of music.
Yeah. There's not a lot of that in Portland at all.
Yeah. So that's what's kind of missing over there for sure. Man, I would probably take elements from like all my favorite shows I like to spin. I'd love to take like elements from like a fashion show type of environment and then kind of incorporate that to like a bar where like, I mean, not saying like dress codes or anything else like that. I'm more saying like what's on the decor inside of the walls and stuff like that. Build that type of creative environment where people can not just feel inspired, but also just feel like, damn, this is just a cool place. I feel kind of welcome at home. So have like designers and artists and everything else have a little bit more of a spotlight, because music is just a lot more than music. Music goes, so it has to affect the art, like paintings and like design, to you name it. So why not showcase that style of art into the clubs that we spin at? And at the same time, also give a lot more appreciation to the DJ for creating that. So taking the time to vet your DJs, give them like, you know, an understanding, not just from the following they have, but also what kind of quality of music do they play? I mean, how good are your mixes, your transitions, everything else like that, understanding that, and then paying them right for that. So
exactly. Yeah, there was this I went to this DJ camp in California back like 4 years ago, and it was an outside thing, so we had just a whole group of people. It wasn't a class, it was like more of like a literal camp, so there was like hundreds of people. So what would happen was we would gather everybody on this big yard area, and there would be 4 stages of DJ tables, and we would have headphones, but there would be channels in these headphones.
Cool.
So it's called silent disco. If you
I know silent disco.
Okay, cool. So there would be different colors. The channels would be different colors, and you could tune into the 4 DJs playing different types of genres, which is pretty dope. So everybody is vibing out in the same room, but to different music in their head, you know?
Yeah.
So it was pretty.
I like that.
Yeah, I think that'd be a cool idea to have. It's just expensive. Those headphones aren't cheap, you know?
No, yeah, that's a smart format, especially with given like COVID procedures, you know, like distancing and I think that could be built off really well.
Oh yeah, I wasn't even thinking of quarantine, dude. Hell yeah, man, what? Oh, bro.
Your aspect of what you'll want. You want the different rooms.
Yeah.
Sounds, but you could get the different headphones, a different sound going in there too. So
exactly.
People don't feel separated by the rooms. People are just vibing out to music just in general.
Yeah, that would be tight if it was just through like an app or something, and you can just choose which channel you're connected to. Yeah. No, that's really cool.
Dude. Yeah. Ideas, man. But yeah, no.
I do got to get going soon.
Oh, do you?
Gotcha. But this has been awesome.
Yeah, man. No, this is perfect. This is a perfect episode. I think it's a good place to stop it. But yeah, man. Hey, thank you guys for coming through. Follow them on Mixcloud. They're actually under the Illmatics, if I'm correct.
Nice. Yeah.
All right. Cool. Yeah. No, I met these guys. Great group of people. You know, hopefully I get to see you guys soon. And you know, good luck on not job hunting, house hunting.
I'm job hunting. He's house hunting.
Oh yeah, job hunting. Yeah, there you go. But yeah, man. thank you guys for coming on, man. It's a pleasure to always talk to you guys and catch up. So.
For sure. Nice seeing you, Fanatic. See you.
Hey, nice seeing you guys too.
Take care, dude.
All right.
Bye.